My cousin falsely accused me of harassment. My entire family abandoned me without hesitation. But when she admitted she lied 8 months later, my parents came begging for forgiveness, and what I did left them shattered. I'm 29 years old. I work in it doing tech support, and basically my entire family turned their backs on me for something I never did. I mean, I literally went from having a normal family, with Sunday lunches and active group chats, to being treated like a criminal by people who'd known me since I was born. And all because of a lie my cousin Danielle decided to make up one random night. The thing is, now, like 8 months later, it turns out she admitted she lied, that she was wrong, that I'm so sorry, Patrick, but you know what? The damage is already done. I can't look at my family the same way anymore, and honestly, I'm not sure I'll ever trust them like I did before. I guess I should start from the beginning, so you understand how something so absurd could destroy basically everything. I always had a pretty normal relationship with my family, nothing perfect, but we didn't have constant drama or anything like that. My parents, my dad, and my mom have been together for like 35 years. I have a younger brother, Shane, who's 26, and then there's all the extended family, aunts, uncles, cousins, that kind of thing. We were always one of those families that gets together for birthdays, for Christmas, for any excuse, really. My Aunt Deborah, my mom's sister, has 3 kids, and Danielle is the middle one. She's like 27 years old. She was always a bit dramatic, but I never thought she was capable of something like this. We basically grew up together. I mean, we weren't super close, like best friends, but we saw each other often at family gatherings, and it was all good, all normal. She was always attention-seeking, like one of those people who needs to be the center of everything, but we all have that cousin, right? I never thought she was a bad person, just a bit intense sometimes. I remember when we were teenagers, she once made up drama about someone at school bullying her, and it turned out she'd exaggerated the whole situation so her parents would switch her schools because she didn't like her teachers. My Aunt Deborah always believed everything she said. She was always one of those moms who defend their kids no matter what. And I guess that taught Danielle she could get away with anything. Meanwhile, I had my life pretty well put together. I work at a medium-sized company doing tech support. It's not the most exciting job in the world, but it pays well and I have good hours. I live in a small apartment I rent like 20 minutes from where my parents live. I've been with my girlfriend Melissa for like 2 years. She works in administration at a dental clinic, and she's basically the best thing that's ever happened to me. But I'll get to that. The thing is, my life was normal. Boring, even. I worked Monday through Friday. On weekends, I'd go out with Melissa or with my friends. I'd go to family gatherings when they came up. All super predictable and calm. The event that changed everything was last July. My Aunt Deborah organized a barbecue at her house on a Saturday, nothing special, just close family. We were like 15 people total. I went with Melissa. We arrived around 2 inches the afternoon, and everything was normal. My dad was grilling, my mom and my aunt in the kitchen making salads, my cousins playing video games in the living room. The typical family gathering atmosphere. Danielle was there with her boyfriend at the time. I don't remember his name. Some tall, kind of boring guy who barely talked. I was there until like 8 at night. We ate, we talked, we had some beers, absolutely nothing out of the ordinary. At some point, Danielle and I talked for a bit about, I don't know what, her job, I think. She worked in customer service at a department store and was always complaining about customers. But it was a super casual conversation. Normal. I don't even remember exactly what we talked about. Melissa and I left around 8. We had plans to watch a movie at home. We got there, watched the movie, fell asleep on the couch. A completely normal and boring Saturday. To the next day, Sunday, I was working on my computer because I had to finish some reports for Monday, and around 11 inches the morning, Danielle calls me. At the time, it didn't seem weird. Sometimes she'd call me to ask me tech stuff because she knew I work in that, so I answered normally. But the first thing I hear is that she's crying, like sobbing, and she tells me, "Patrick, I need to talk to you about yesterday." And I'm like, "What? What about yesterday?" And she starts telling me that I touched her inappropriately at the barbecue, that I made her feel uncomfortable, that she needed me to admit it and apologize. I literally froze. I couldn't process what I was hearing. I told her, "Danielle, what are you talking about? I wasn't even near you most of the time. We only talked for like 10 minutes about your job and that's it. But she kept crying and saying, no. You know what you did. You touched me when no one was looking. I felt horrible all night. I tried to reason with her. I told her that never happened. That maybe she was confused or someone else had made her feel uncomfortable and she thought it was me. I don't know. I was trying to find some logical explanation because the alternative, that she was falsely accusing me on purpose, was too insane to consider. The conversation lasted like half an hour, her crying and me trying to make her understand that literally nothing had happened, that she must be confused. In the end, she hung up, saying she needed time to think, and I was left sitting there like, what the fuck just happened? I told Melissa immediately. She was with me all day yesterday, so she knew I hadn't done anything, and she told me that probably Danielle was having some kind of episode or confusion, to give her time and surely she'd realize her mistake. I wanted to believe her. I wanted to think everything would clear up on its own. But it didn't clear up. That same Sunday night, around 9 or 10, Danielle wrote in the family group chat. We have a WhatsApp group where everyone is. My parents, my aunts and uncles, my cousins, everyone, like 20 people. And she writes this long emotional message saying she needed to be honest about something that happened to her at the barbecue, that Patrick had touched her inappropriately and made her feel horrible, that she'd tried to talk to me first, to give me the opportunity to apologize, but that I denied everything and made her feel like she was crazy. She said she couldn't keep silent anymore, that she needed the family's support, basically painting me as a predator and her as the brave victim who finally finds the courage to speak up. The chat exploded. In like 10 minutes, there were like 50 messages, everyone asking what happened, saying they couldn't believe it, my Aunt Deborah saying, how dare I do that to her daughter, that she always trusted me. I was reading all this with my hands shaking. I literally felt like I was going to throw up. I wrote in the chat, saying none of that was true, that I never touched her, that I wasn't even near her most of the barbecue, that Melissa could confirm everything. But my message basically got lost in the bombardment of people saying they had to believe Danielle, that victims deserve to be heard. All that discourse that's valid when someone really is a victim, but that in my case was being used to destroy me. My mom called me like 15 minutes later. I thought she was going to defend me, that she was going to believe me because I'm her son and she's known me my whole life. But no. She asked me what really happened, with that tone that already had the answer decided. I explained everything. I told her that Danielle had called me in the morning with that accusation out of nowhere, that I didn't understand why she was saying that nothing had happened. My mom was quiet for a moment, and then said, Patrick, Danielle wouldn't have a reason to make something like this up. Maybe you did something without realizing it. Maybe you touched her accidentally or something, and she misinterpreted it. I told her no, that not even that happened, that I practically didn't interact with her. And my mom just said, well, she's very upset. I think you need to give her space and think carefully about what happened. That conversation broke something inside me. My own mother doubted me. My dad called me later. He was a bit less confrontational, but he didn't defend me either. He told me he understood that I was saying nothing happened, but that Danielle was very upset and that probably the best thing was for me to apologize and we'd try to resolve it as a family. I asked him how I was supposed to apologize for something I didn't do, and he didn't know what to answer. He just said things were very tense and he didn't want the family to split over this. Shane, my brother, didn't call me. He wrote in the group chat saying something neutral, like this is very difficult for everyone. Let's give it time. Basically washed his hands of the situation. Other cousins commented things supporting Danielle. My Aunt Deborah kept writing messages defending her daughter and basically saying I was a monster. In a matter of hours, I went from being part of the family to being the villain everyone needed to avoid. The next few days were hell. People stopped responding to my messages. My calls went straight to voicemail. The group chat was still active, but I was like a ghost there. Nobody responded to me directly. Melissa told me this would pass, that the truth would come out eventually, but I wasn't so sure. How do you get out of something like this? How do you prove that something didn't happen? It's not like I had evidence of my innocence. I only had my word against hers, and apparently the family had already decided who to believe. I tried to talk to my Aunt Deborah directly, thinking maybe I could make her see reason. I went to her house one day after work, knocked on the door, and she barely opened it. She told me I wasn't welcome there. How dare I show up after what I did to Danielle? I tried to explain. I told her aunt, I swear on everything you hold dear that I didn't do anything. Danielle is confused or lying, but I didn't touch her. And she closed the door in my face. Literally, she closed it while I was still talking. I stood there on her porch like an idiot, unable to believe what was happening. About a week after all this, my mom told me it was probably better if I didn't come to Friday's family dinner, that Danielle was going to be there, and she didn't want there to be more drama. I mean, she was basically uninviting me. I told her it was fine, that I understood, even though I didn't understand anything really. How was my own family excluding me for something I didn't do? How was no one taking a second to think that maybe, just maybe, Danielle was lying? After that conversation, I decided I wasn't going to fight anymore. If my family had decided to believe her, without even giving me the benefit of the doubt, then they didn't deserve my time or my energy. I sent a message to the group chat, pretty simple, saying that, given that nobody wanted to hear my side and everyone had decided I was guilty without any proof, I was going to distance myself from the family for my own peace of mind, that if they ever decided to believe me, they knew where to find me. And I left the group. I blocked everyone on WhatsApp except Melissa. I blocked my parents on the phone, Shane, all my aunts and uncles and cousins. I felt bad doing it, especially with my parents, but I needed that clean cut. I couldn't keep waiting for calls that never came or messages telling me that maybe if I apologized, everything would be fixed. I wasn't going to apologize for something I didn't do. That was my limit. The next few months were weird. On one hand, I felt liberated, like I didn't have to deal with the constant drama or the anxiety of seeing messages from the family. But on the other hand, I felt lonely, empty. Melissa was incredible during all this. She never doubted me for even a second. She always told me that she knew the truth, and that's what mattered. She convinced me to focus on myself, on doing things that made me feel good. I joined a gym, started going like 5 times a week, not just for exercise, but because I needed something to focus all that anger and frustration I had. I also reconnected with friends from college that I'd stopped seeing as much, started going out more with them, doing things outside work and routine. Work became my escape. I dove deep into projects, volunteered for tasks nobody else wanted, basically became the most dedicated employee in the office. My boss even asked me once if everything was okay. I told him yes. I was just focused on growing professionally. I wasn't going to tell him. I was using work to not think about how my entire family had abandoned me. Melissa and I moved in together like 4 months after all the drama. I'd been thinking about asking her before, but this accelerated the decision. I needed that change, that step forward in something. We found a bigger apartment, 2 bedrooms, in a neighborhood we both liked. Doing the move, decorating together, all that helped me feel like I was building something new, a life that didn't depend on my family. But honestly, as much as I tried to move forward, there was always that feeling of injustice. I'd wake up sometimes in the middle of the night, thinking about how Danielle had destroyed my life with a lie, and there were no consequences for her. I'd think about my mom doubting me, about my dad asking me to apologize for something I didn't do, about Shane staying neutral as if that was the same as supporting me. It ate me up inside, honestly, even though I tried not to show it. After like 6 months of zero contact with the family, I get a Facebook message from one of my cousins, Blake, who was always cool with me but had also distanced himself. After the drama, the message said, "Hey Patrick, I know we haven't talked in months, but I need to tell you something. Can we talk?" I was about to ignore it, but curiosity won. I told him yes, to tell me what was up. Blake told me that Danielle had been having problems at work, that they'd fired her for missing a lot and for having attitude with customers, and that her boyfriend had left her because apparently she made a scene in public accusing him of flirting with a waitress when the guy was just being nice. Blake told me the family was starting to realize that maybe Danielle wasn't as reliable as everyone thought, that she'd started creating drama with more people, not just me. I asked him if anyone had questioned her story about me after all this, and Blake was quiet for a moment and then said honestly, "Some of us started to have doubts, but nobody wants to be the first to say it out loud." I told him I thought it was convenient that they had doubts now. Where were those doubts when they were kicking me out of the family? Blake apologized, said he should have been a better cousin, that he knew I wasn't capable of doing something like that, but didn't know how to handle it. I thanked him for telling me, but told him I needed time, that I wasn't ready to reconnect with the family just like that. About 2 weeks after that conversation, I'm at work on a normal Tuesday, and I see I have a Facebook message from Danielle. The first thing I thought was block her. Don't read anything she has to say. But again, curiosity won. I opened the message and it was long, like 3 paragraphs. Basically, it said she'd been doing therapy, that she'd talked about what happened at the barbecue, that her therapist helped her realize that what she said happened never actually happened, that she was in a bad mental place that day, and for some reason made up the whole story. She said she was so sorry, that she had no excuse for what she did, so that she understood if I never forgave her, but she needed me to know the truth. I read that message like 5 times, trying to process what I was reading. She admitted she lied. After 8 months of my life destroyed, of my family turning their backs on me, of sleepless nights wondering how something like this could happen to me, she admitted she made it all up. And she said it just like that, like, oops, I was in a bad mental place. Sorry. I didn't respond. What was I supposed to say to her? Thanks for finally admitting you ruined my life for no reason? Is everything okay now that you said sorry? I left the message on read and went on with my day, although I couldn't concentrate on anything. I showed it to Melissa when I got home, and she got furious. More furious than me, even. She told me I should send that screenshot to the family chat, that everyone deserved to know the truth. But I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to give them the pleasure of seeing I was right. Not after how they treated me. The next day, my mom called me. I'd unblocked her number like a month earlier, thinking maybe someday I'd need her for an emergency. I answered, and she was crying. She said, "Patrick, Danielle told me what happened. She told me the truth about the barbecue. Son, I'm so sorry. You don't know how sorry I am. I should have believed you. I should have defended you." I just stayed quiet, letting her talk. She kept apologizing, saying she was my mother and should have trusted me, that she didn't know how to fix this, but she wanted to try. I told her, "Mom, you left me alone when I needed you most. You asked me to apologize for something I didn't do. You basically kicked me out of the family without thinking twice. I don't know if I can just forget that because now you do believe me." She kept crying and saying she understood, that she knew it wasn't that simple, but that she loved me and wanted us to talk again. I told her I needed time, that I couldn't promise her anything. I hung up and felt weird, not even relieved, just empty. Shane wrote me that same day, a long message apologizing. He said he was a coward, that he should have supported me, that he was trapped between not wanting to believe his brother would do something like that, but also not wanting to invalidate a supposed victim. That now he realized his neutrality was basically abandoning me. I responded something short, like, "I appreciate the apology, but I'm going to need time." He said he understood. My dad called 2 days later. It was a shorter conversation. He's less expressive than my mom, but you could tell he was affected. He said he regretted doubting me, that as a father he should have defended me without questioning it. I told him the same as the others, that I needed time to process everything. Blake kept me updated on what was happening with Danielle. Apparently my Aunt Deborah went crazy when Danielle told her the truth, told her how could she do that to the family, how could she lie about something so serious, and she ended up kicking her out of the house. Danielle went to live with a friend. But that situation didn't last long either, because apparently she had problems there too. She lost her job and hadn't gotten another one. Her boyfriend obviously wasn't in the picture anymore. Basically, her life fell apart. Part of me felt it was karma, that she was finally paying for what she did. But another part just felt tired. None of this gave me back those 8 months. Nothing erased the fact that my family abandoned me when I needed them. Melissa told me that at least now everyone knew the truth, that I could start rebuilding relationships if I wanted, but I wasn't sure I wanted to. It's been like 4 months since Danielle admitted the truth. I've seen my parents a couple times, awkward dinners where we all avoid talking about the elephant in the room. Shane and I have talked a bit more. We go to the gym together sometimes, trying to reconnect, little by little. But it's not the same. It'll probably never be the same. The trust I had in them is broken, and I don't know if it can be completely repaired. My Aunt Deborah tried to call me once to apologize, but I didn't answer. I'm not ready for that conversation. Maybe I never will be. She defended Danielle tooth and nail, closed the door in my face, treated me like garbage, all because her daughter decided to make up a story. I don't owe her anything. Danielle, according to what Blake tells me, is living with another cousin now, in another city, trying to start over. I have no idea what will become of her life, and, honestly, I don't care. I know that sounds harsh, but after everything that happened, I don't have the emotional capacity to worry about her. What bothers me most, I think, is that my family now acts like everything's fine because the truth came out. Like their apologies automatically erase the damage. But it doesn't work like that. I spent months feeling like a criminal, questioning whether maybe I had done something without realizing it, wondering why the people who were supposed to love me had turned their backs on me so fast. That doesn't get erased with an "I'm sorry." Melissa tells me I have every right to feel this way, to take whatever time I need to heal. If I decide to heal those relationships. She's been my rock through all this, the only person who never doubted, and that makes me realize that family isn't always the people you share blood with. Sometimes it's the people you choose, the ones who stay when everything falls apart. Last week, my mom sent me a message asking if I'd go to Christmas dinner. I told her I wasn't sure yet. The truth is, I probably won't go. The idea of being in a room with all of them, acting like nothing happened, exhausts me just thinking about it. Maybe next year I'll feel different. Or maybe not. For now, I'm focused on the life I built with Melissa, on my work, on the friends who were there when I needed them. I guess if I learned anything from all this, it's that people show you who they really are when things get tough. And my family showed me they were willing to believe someone else before me, without evidence, just because they screamed louder. That's a lesson I won't forget, no matter how much it hurts.